There's been a lot happening with the Gaza ceasefire deal, and there is still a lot of questions. So what's going on? You may have seen that Hamas has handed over the bodies of 4 Israeli captives, including the 2 youngest victims the armed group took from Israel during its attack on October 7, 2023. The group says 9-month-old Kfir Bibas, 4-year-old Ariel, and their mother Shiri were killed by their own forces during bombing of Gaza shortly after the war began. Other civilian captives have been released alive in exchange for Palestinian prisoners since the ceasefire deal began. And now Hamas has also made Israel an offer. It says it will release all remaining captives at once in the next phase of the ceasefire deal, in return for a permanent truce and full Israeli withdrawal from Gaza. The ceasefire deal is supposed to be, at minimum, a 2-phase process involving the exchange of captives. In the first stage, Hamas had agreed to release 33 civilians. But if not all of them were alive, the group was to start returning bodies. In the first few weeks of the ceasefire, captives were released regularly, usually in groups of 3, as agreed in the deal. Hamas now says it's going to release 6 prisoners on February 22, double the scheduled number. They would be the last living civilian captives set to be freed under Phase 1. They include 2 Israelis who have been held for a decade. The Israeli Prime Minister's office has confirmed 4 more bodies are set to be released the week after. In exchange for all this, Israel has withdrawn from its Netzarim corridor dividing Gaza, has allowed in more aid, and has freed hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. By the end of the first phase, it's supposed to have released all Palestinian women and children it's arrested since the war began. It's also meant to allow Egypt to send in heavy machinery to start clearing rubble. And now to Phase 2. Officials say indirect negotiations have begun. But this is where things could very well unravel. Hamas has already accused Israel of breaching its commitments. The aid it's let in is a fraction of what was promised, while Israeli troops have continued to fire on and kill people in Gaza. There's a lot on the line. There are around 70 captives still in Gaza. Israeli officials estimate around half are dead. Most of the living are soldiers who were supposed to be released as part of this second phase. There's also politics. Members of the Netanyahu government have repeatedly stated they want to keep Palestinians out of Gaza to build Israeli settlements. And the Prime Minister himself has lent his support to Donald Trump's proposal to expel Gaza's residents to neighbouring countries. Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich has threatened to quit Netanyahu's coalition if the war does not resume. And then there is peace. Palestinians in Gaza are just starting to pick through what's left of their lives. The rebuilding process hasn't even begun. Thousands of people are still missing. A lot depends on the success of this ceasefire, not least of which are the futures of 2.3 million people.